What if I told you that you could generate an endless amount of leads using a personalized quiz that writes the results and all of the emails for you using AI without having to write a single line of code? In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a quiz that connects to your CRM, and even better, for a bonus, I'm going to show you how you can even have it outbound voice dial everyone who actually takes the quiz and said they need help. Now, to quick things off, I want to show you a quick demo of this process from end to end so you can see exactly what we're going to be building here. Now, we're going to be using this tool called Bolt.new. Bolt.new is an AI agent tool, and you can think of it if it's almost having ChatGPT, but if ChatGPT was connected to tons and tons of actual developers that actually just went out and wrote the code. All you have to do is say, I want to build this thing, and then Bolt.new goes out and actually builds that thing for you. So instead, where ChatGPT is kind of like one command here, one command there to get things done, this actually is goal-oriented. So you say, you know what, I want to build a clone of this program, or I want to build a website idea for this. It's actually going to do everything it needs to accomplish that goal. So in this instance, we want to build a lead generation quiz, right? So this is a blank screen. I'm going to show you how you're going to be able to build something like this. Readiness assessment, as we call it here. So we went from that blank screen to being able to have something awesome like this. Now I'm just going to click on the button here and go through the process, answer a couple of questions here, and just see how smooth it looks. Didn't have to write any code. I'm going to put my name here. I'm going to put in an email address. That's fine. And I'm going to say plus here, and then also put in my phone number. And then we're going to say that I consent to receive. All right, so now it's processing the answers. It's going through the process of creating our personalized report. All this stuff is happening on the back end. I'm going to show you how to build it all out. So as you can see, it's doing a spin here. It built out our AI readiness report, 85% ready. These are all my questions and all the responses that I had. It has a personalized summary that was written completely by AI that's very specific to the answers that I gave. And then at the very bottom here, it has a button to book a free auto call, because that's what the goal we want. We want people to actually come here, click this to actually book a call once they become a lead. And so now that happened here, we're just going to give it a couple of moments, and then we're going to check our email, and then you're going to see the awesome cool part about this as well. I just saw it pop in here, personalized AI readiness report for Marquise. And wait a minute, I'm getting a phone call. Let's pick up the phone here. What do we got?
Hello, this is Bella. Am I speaking with Marquise?
This is Marquise.
Hi, Marquise. I'm Bella, a virtual assistant calling on behalf of Teresa, your business automation specialist from Automate Your Hustle CRM. Is this a good time for a quick chat?
Not right now. Could you give me a call back later?
Of course, Marquise. I'll make sure to arrange a call back at a more convenient time for you. Thank you for letting me know, and have a great day.
Awesome. So you see, we went from a blank screen, and I'll show you exactly pretty much what I typed to build something like this, which is an actual lead generation quiz, completely connects to our CRM, and now automatically got personalized results written for me by AI. I did not have to touch a finger as the business owner, completely set up. So now that we have a quick demo, let's hop on into this thing. All right, so just a quick about me. My name is Marquise Boyce, tech coach for entrepreneurs. My goal is to make tech simple to scale your business. I have my own platform called Automate Your Hustle CRM, which you'll see me talk about in this presentation as one of the cruxes that we actually use to make everything happen. So now, as I mentioned, some of the tools that you're going to need to build out this particular lead generation quiz. One of the first things you're going to need is Automate Your Hustle CRM, which is just a white label of GoHighLevel. So everything that I talk about in this video, if you're using GoHighLevel, you can do the same thing as well. But this is because you need a CRM to actually put all the people into. And then we're also going to need Make. Make is a tool, very simple to Zapier. Make is like the glue that makes things stick together. And it's going to be able to connect the data that's coming in from the quiz that we built in Bolt.new. And then it's going to send it to ChatGPT to personalize some information like the results and the emails. And then it's going to lastly send that data off into the CRM. So now we're going to hop right into this thing, and I'm going to show you how you can actually build out the quiz in Bolt.new. Now, I have this very handy dandy document here, and I very much suggest that if you're going to be building out a lead generation quiz, you have something very similar to this as well, to make sure you store what are your quiz questions that you want to be and all the potential answers. That way, it's very simple to feed that information into Bolt.new. And then also you're going to have to set this up in as custom fields in the CRM as well. So I'm a big proponent of documentation. It just makes it so easy when you document your quiz question first, all of the answers, and then let the AI is going to personalize all the results for us and all the emails. And so we have this here. And so this is how we're going to really start this thing off. So I have this prompt here, and I will put it down in the description so you can get access to this prompt if you want to build something very similar. But all it says is to create a production-ready AI readiness assessment tool with the following features. So I want to be a full screen hero section, 12-question assessment with these types of questions, a progress bar. The form should include this information, and then also how I want it to be like, mobile responsive, smooth scrolling, animations, and things of that nature. So that's how we basically built out something like this. The prompt started with something like this. So if you were coming into Bolt.new, just to give you an example of how it works, because we're not going to obviously be able to build this whole thing out together. So I'm just going to be able to show you from a very high level how you can replicate some of this stuff. So if you were into Bolt.new, you would just come in here and you would press enter from there and then just type it in. And then this is where the magic of Bolt.new comes in. As you can see, it's just doing all the coding here on the right side. On the left side, it's doing a lot of thinking. It's showing you exactly what's going on. And I'm just going to continue to talk through this process. But as you can see, I'm not writing a single line of code. I could get up from my desk right now. I could go have a phone call. And when I come back here, it's going to have something for me to look at. So we're going to just let it do its thing, and then we'll come back. All right, so Bolt.new went for about 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes. I'll give it that, so long, right? But it came back and said, I've created a professional production ready AI readiness assessment of all the requested features. Here's what's included. So it has the hero section, the assessment, the results page, all that stuff. And then on the right side, you can actually see it here, so it built it out. So if I click on this button here to just preview it in a separate tab, we're going to click on connect project. All right. And there it goes. Pops up. Click on Start Assessment. And as you can see, it looks almost very similar to the one that I built, but Bolt has done its own job of making it look a little bit more unique. And you can give it so much more data. You can say, I want to use this type of color scheme. I want to use this type of photos. So it kind of came up with its own questions here. And so I'll just kind of go through them. So like I said, these are completely like different questions than from my quiz, and because I didn't give it specific questions to use, I got a kind of said, I just want 12 questions around these particular topics. And so we'll go here and then we put in our name. So I'm just going to say test. I'm just going to put in my email address. Now, none of the back end stuff is going to work because that's what we have to do. We'll do in the next step with make.com is we then have to connect it to where when someone actually presses this button, it's going to send the data over to a webhook that Make is listening for. And then Make is going to actually be able to take that information from the assessment and then start manipulating with ChatGPT. But we're just going to click on view results because many times Bolt will just set up test data internally, so that way when you press the button, things will happen, but you will still have to connect it on the backside. So I'm just going to click on processing here, and so this is what it shows for the AI readiness source. As you can see, it's like a lot different than the one that I had on my page here. Just the layout or whatnot. Book a free consultation. So now you would have to go into Bolt and say, okay, this is great, everything is functioning, and it tells you here. It says to complete the implementation, you would actually need to put in whatever the booking link is. So basically Bolt says you would have to tell me what this link button should go to. And then also you need to give it the webhook address. So this is where you would go into make.com and give it the webhook address. So now that we've actually shown you how to build the front end quiz in Bolt.new, now I'm going to show you how you can actually set up the make environment and the scenario that you need to basically have the trigger for the incoming webhook data. And then also I'll show you all the other steps in the process as well to how the data is going to flow into ChatGPT. So now I'm going to log here into my Make account. All right, so now I'm logged into my Make account here. I'm just going to go to this particular webhook that I currently have set up just to show you how it looks. But all the way on the left side, this is our trigger. So this is a webhook address. And so this address here, it would be the address that you would go into, say, copy and say, this is the webhook address I want you to send the results to. And so that's kind of how that process would work. And then the next step is once it actually comes in, then ChatGPT is going to be the next step where if I was to open up this particular step here, you're going to be able to read what it says here. And this says here, you're going to act as an AI-powered consultant. A business owner has just submitted an assessment to identify their biggest challenges for automation. Your job is to analyze their answers and provide a personalized summary that includes their name, and then also identifies their pain points, how we can help them. And then I just give it more data on, this is what their quiz questions are, and this is what their answers are. So now ChatGPT has all of this information. And then I tell ChatGPT, based on the response, I want you to send the data back as a webhook response. So basically, this is telling ChatGPT to listen to all for this data, customize a result for this person, and then send the result back in JSON formatted a certain way. And we do that way so it actually gets formatted on the page properly here. So that's how that works. And so then the next step in this process is here, we do two different things. So we actually send the data back to Bolt.new. So we basically say, this is the content that came from ChatGPT. So now send this data back into Bolt.new. And I'm going to do a live demonstration of this so you can actually see how the data is flowing. And then after that process is done, we're also going to then take the same data that the person said, the questions and answers, but now ChatGPT is going to instead act as an email copywriter who specializes in people to book a free call. You're going to write 3 email follow-up sequences based on the result of their readiness assessment. So the job of this is now just to analyze the person, write an email, customize it, and then we take that email, we then put it into our Automate Your Hustle CRM so it can actually get sent out. So that is kind of how that process works at a very high level. So now if we were kind of like setting this up from scratch, we would go to scenarios here, and then, all right, so now if we were like setting this up from scratch here, you would just go to create scenario, and then you would just say build from scratch. We would come in here, we would say we want a webhook, and then we want a custom webhook. And then it's going to just say choose your webhook. I want to say add here. I'm just going to leave these all as blank and say save. And then you would just copy this here. And then we're going to go back to Bolt.new and say, this is my webhook address. And then we'll put it there. And then now what I do is going to update the form submission to use your webhook address. So now it's already done it. See how fast that actually works? It's just crazy, right? So we're going to just give it a couple of seconds, let it load up here. Now, sometimes you can run into error messages. I'll preface that. And because Bolt.new is not perfect, I don't want you to think that it's always going to be perfect. Sometimes you're actually going to see it runs into errors to trying to do certain things. And then what happens is it'll try to fix itself, just to kind of give you a heads up in case we run into any issues here. So I'm just going to kind of go through the quiz here once again, now that it's updated. All right, we're just going to just select some fictional stuff here. All right, so now, before we press the button here, this is spinning here. It's basically waiting for data to come in. As it says, it's waiting for data to come in. So now we're going to come here. We're just going to put in test. I'm just going to put in some fictional stuff now, test.com. And say view results. So now we click the button. We didn't get any errors here, so that's a good sign. We go click here. It can see that it's successfully determined it. So that's good. That means that Make has got the information from our webhook, And now we could actually kind of continue going forward here. And at this point, we would just add another module, kind of like I showed you the other module would be. Then you would just go into our next step. And so from here, this is where you would use ChatGPT to generalize the personalized results. As I mentioned, because we're using AI, we don't have to actually set up all of these different paths and scenarios and outcomes. We can just let the quiz send the data in to AI for ChatGPT to then personalize it for us, and it makes it a lot easier that way. And so now we would just go back into Make, and then you would have to go and open up ChatGPT now. So we would come in here and we will say Open AI is the model. And then what we want to do here is we want to use message and assistant. Let me verify actually before we go. I'm not even going to edit this out. You should always confirm things. So I'm going to go back into my other one here. Okay, so this one's actually create a completion prompt. So we would go back here, create a completion prompt here. So select that one, and then you will need to add your OpenAI key here. If you don't know how to do that, there is a help article on how to do that. It's a very simple process. You just have to, you will go into OpenAI, and then once you have an account created, you can come in here and then you can create a key. Then you'll be able to then take that key, put it back into Make or whatnot. And you do have to pay for this, but it's very minimal fee. I think I have like $5 on file, and I've been doing tons and tons of testing, and I've only spent like 79 cents. So this will definitely go a very long way because, like I said, you're not having to do this yourself. And so, but like I said, you would come in here, and then have your key selected, and then you would select a model. There's so many different models you can use. That could be in a video in itself. I usually just going to select the all-one mini one here. And there's a couple of nuances here that I wanted to notate is because as I was doing this, I was running into an issue where ChatGPT would run, but it wouldn't output any information. And what happened was because I was actually running out of tokens here, or at least I didn't allow enough tokens for the message. And tokens is just basically saying how many different values or how much of tokens do you want to allow to be sent in this particular transmission. And so all the characters, all the content that you put in there, these are accruing tokens or whatnot. So the bigger your response is that you're sending back and forth, if it's not high enough, then you can run into an issue where it'll basically literally say that you exceeded your token limit for this message, so it didn't generate a response. So what I've done here is I've actually just bumped up that limit. I just doubled it to 4096, and I have not run into any problems so far since then. But because some of the responses, either the results or the emails that I was trying to generate was too big. And then so from there, all you would do is just go to add message, click on role, go to user, and then under text content here is where you actually put the prompt. So as you can see, I already have a prompt here that I'm using. And like I said, I can actually, copy and paste this prompt, and it will be linked in the description so you can kind of see what I put there, or you can just model it. But this is what you actually have to put here. And this is what gets sent into ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is being told what to do, and it's also being given the information from the webhook that's coming in. So now basically it has all of the data from the user, and it's not just making up stuff. It's actually using information very specific about that particular user. So that's how you set up that particular step here. And then now if I was to go back to my original setup, then we have a router setup here. Now, the reason why I put a router here is because I want two things to happen at one time. And I found a problem when I was initially setting this up. I had my webhook response, and this is what you need to have set up. You need to have a webhook response set up. So that's what that module is. It's called webhook response. So it's basically saying that once we actually are submitting the button here, before it can actually show a score and it knows exactly what the recommendations are, we have to wait for ChatGPT to actually return the results first. And if what I was doing at first is I basically had my webhook all the way at the end after the contact was connected in lead connector, but that was causing a timing issue because my quiz was actually not showing the responses for like 30 seconds. It was taking almost like 30 seconds for the responses to show up here. And I found that the best way to solve this was actually to just add this router here, because the router allows multiple paths to happen at one time. So instead of the webhook response waiting all the way to the very end after everything else happens, is I actually have it happen right after ChatGPT gets the results. Because after ChatGPT gets the results, I instantly want to send that data back to Bolt so Bolt knows and can actually display it. So that's why we have this router here. So router, it basically sends the data back to Bolt. And while that's happening, then we move on to the next step. And what the next step would be to now use ChatGPT to create personalized follow-up emails, because we've already sent the results back to the quiz using Bolt.new. Now we want to have personalized follow-up emails that we can then take those emails, put them into the CRM, Automate Your Hustle CRM, or GoHighLevel, and then those emails would automatically be sent out to the recipient who actually took the quiz. So now I'm going to show you how that part is set up. All right, so now we coming back in here to our make scenario. We have our webhook response. The next thing you will need to do, if you're looking at my diagram here, you can see will be create a completion prompt again. So I like to make things simple. So I usually would just say, I'm going to clone this, put that there. So now we got that there. And then the only thing we would have to do here now is come in and edit the section that has where you put in the actual title. So like if we come back here and we'll just let it load, we just want the prompt, because that's the only thing that's different between this step here and this step is the prompt. This prompt here is basically saying you are giving them the results to send back to the webhook. This prompt here is you're the email copywriter who are helping us write the emails. So that's what you would just paste in here under the section like we went before under test content. You would just paste in the message here, that prompt, so it knows to generate those 3 emails. And so then that would be the next step here. And what happens is then ChatGPT is going to generate 3 emails, and I have a very specific prompt. I tell it to write me 3 emails, and I want it to give me the subject lines back as like custom tokens or custom values. And I also want it to give me the email bodies back as custom values as well. And I have it named very particular also. So like if I come in here, it says, let me just find the section here. So like AI assessment email _to subject, AI _assessment -email to body. These are custom value names here that I have created in the CRM. So, and that's why I told ChatGPT to give me back my response in JSON. So then I can now take these as custom values and put it into the CRM. So that way, when the person's contact get created within CRM, the emails are actually already loaded into the system and is assigned to that person as a custom value. And I'll show you exactly kind of how that looks. But by doing this, it allows me to have ChatGPT not only write the emails, but also give me back the emails in a very particular format, so I can then easily take it and then put it into the CRM for sending out to that person. And this just takes us to our next step, which is now adding a lead to the CRM and triggering the workflows so they get sent the automatic emails as well. So now we'll just go back into our make scenario. So we have our new scenario that we're building here. And of course, we have the one that we already have. Now, I have 2 different steps here because I noticed that when I was using ChatGPT, it was giving me some strange characters in my output file. So I have these 2 steps here that basically just, first here, it just takes those strange characters out of the output that I was getting from the JSON file and just removes them, because I was finding when I was trying to do the next step, parse JSON, and parse JSON just basically means just go through the JSON data and then put it into like different values, so that now you can use it into a different step. So I basically had to actually remove the issues that I was having, and then I could actually parse the JSON file. So like I said, I'll give you the exact code, because if you run into the same situation that I did, you're probably going to need to do this also. So you would just add a step here for like, I'll just show you text parser, and it's going to be match pattern. And then here, this will be like the pattern here, and then you would just save it. And then the module after that is going to be a JSON parse file. And then what you would do from here, so we're just going to say JSON, parse JSON. And then you're going to be parsing whatever the output is of this test parser here. Now, thank God for ChatGPT. I can definitely tell you, I ran into so many issues trying to build this quiz out, and I am not a coding expert. I've actually taken coding classes, but we're talking about like 15 years ago. I don't remember any of that stuff. But fortunately, ChatGPT, I was running into so many issues and error messages. So just a little cool trick. If you are going through the scenario and you run into error messages, go into ChatGPT and tell it exactly what you're doing. Tell it that you're trying to build a quiz and make and Bolt. It knows these programs, and it will actually help you walk through the steps of exactly how I fixed the issue. It told me that I needed to use a text parser to fix the problem with the text output that I was getting from this step, and then use this JSON step. So it just helps you to really get to the solution instead of just running into a roadblock, because sometimes these tools can be a little scary, especially if you don't have any coding experience. But just a little sidebar there. All right, so now that we have that step there, the last thing we need to do is then just map it to our contact in Lead Connector. So Lead Connector, Automate Your Hustle, GoHighLevel, all the same thing. Lead Connector is the actual term that you're going to find and make. You're not even going to see GoHighLevel specifically. It just says GoHighLevel Lead Connector. So you're going to click that, and then we're going to do create or update contact. I believe I just did it as a create step, create contacts. And then you're going to, once again, you're going to have to link your configuration to it. And this is where you're going to put in your email address, your phone number. And then the big thing is you're going to have to make sure that, of course, you're going to be mapping all of your custom fields too. So like if I scroll down here, I have all of these custom fields that's like related to the AI assessment here that we have. So like all of the answers, they are mapped to those custom fields, and those custom fields I have already set up in GoHighLevel. So what happens is basically someone is going to come through the quiz. They're going to put their information in here, and I have a workflow in HighLevel now that when they get tagged as AI assessment completed, because if we go back to here also, under tags, I have a tag for AI assessment completed. That triggers this workflow. This is what sends them into our CRM here. And so the very first thing we do is once they're triggered, we just add a note to their profile that they took the readiness assessments. And we also have a condition here because we have a checkbox on our form that says, would you like us to be able to call you or not? Yes or no. If the person says no, they don't check the box, then we're just going to send them their first follow-up email. If they say yes, we can call them. We're going to send them their email. And then we're also going to do a dynamic outbound call to them where we're going to be able to have a call from one of our appointment setters. Our virtual appointment setter is going to reach out to them and is going to try to get them to book a phone call. Now, I have a whole nother YouTube video that we released on that. And so if you want to learn how to use the AI voice assistant to be able to set up something like this as well, just check out that video. You'll see all the steps there. All right, so that's pretty much kind of like how this workflow is set up. Now, the real cool thing is how the emails are set up. Now, if I was to click on this email here, you can see I have, for the subject line here, I have this particular custom value. And then if I also click here on edit for the actual email body as well, I have this custom value. So I don't even have the emails completely written in the CRM. They get stored, once again, from make.com is going to actually write the email in the ChatGPT step. The JSON file is going to break this up into a particular structure here. So like if I was to click here and show you here, it has where we have the structure here set up in that JSON file, and it is basically allowing me to come into the CRM and say, okay, email 1 goes to this field for the body, email 1 goes to this field for the subject line, for the body for email 2, for the subject line for email 2. So that way when a contact gets added into the CRM, the entire email is completely written and is stored in a custom field. And so that allows that when this workflow triggers, it's just going to pull whatever the data is in that custom value and it sends it out an email. And you saw that happen. So like, this is exactly what happened. ChatGPT generated this email here. And what it did is it added it into a custom value in the CRM. So that way, when this email got fired here, everything was already there. The email was there, even the link was there completely. And that's why we have to have it give us back in JSON in a very particular format, because it allows us to format it so the email shows up in the CRM and it shows up to the recipient the same way we want. So now that's a very, very high level overview of how the setup works for adding the lead into the CRM, and then also how the workflow actually get triggers for the magic to happen. All right, so now we got our workflow completely set up. Now, of course, you'll need to go through and fill in some of the blanks here, but I'm only going to give you the actual Google document to where I has all the prompts that I was using to build out the lead generation quiz in Bolt.new, as well as all the prompts that I'm using for ChatGPT as well. Now, once again, to see how it works from end to end, we're just going to go back into our Bolt. And then I'm just going to go back into my Bolt setup here just to do a live test so you can just see how the data flows here. So we're just going to let it roll back up. I'm going to pull up my quiz here. All right, so now I'm going to go back into Make, press once so you can watch the process going here. And then I'm just going to go through this assessment. And just put my name here. All right, so now we go back to Make, we can see it going. So as you can see, it's right here. It's processing. ChatGPT is doing the first step here. It's generating the result. So that's what's happening in this step here. So in a couple of moments, if we go back here, we can see this is ready now, 90% ready. And then everything else is happening. It already sent the data back through the webhooks. That's why we have this 90%, because we got the data through the webhook response. And now ChatGPT is going through the process of creating the emails. So this step is creating the emails. It parsed it to remove some invalid characters to make sure that JSON is formulated properly. It parsed the JSON to give us some custom fields here. And when I meant by custom fields, you can see it here. I'm also getting the phone call, so that's happening at the same time as I'm showing you this. So I have my AI subject one and AI assessment body. So that's how these emails are showing up actually in HighLevel. I'm just capturing it in different custom fields, and it's formatted as raw HTML. So the data actually shows up correctly to the user when it gets sent out. So now if we were to go back into our CRM here, all right, we're going to go back into our contacts here. I'm going to see the contact that was just created. All right, and so we can see the email that got sent out for the contact. We can click here and we can once again see the email was sent out to Mark. And if we scroll down here and we go all the way to our custom fields here, we have all of our custom fields for the AI assessment. So I got a whole folder here for assessment so I can see all of their answers. And then it has the email one, email body, email subject two, email body, email subject three, email body. And then lastly, if we go into their notes section, we can see it added a note for them. So we got that section there. That way, the reason why I like adding it as a note is because, say, for instance, if they took the quiz multiple times, if they took the quiz and you only use the custom field approach, it's always going to overwrite their own answers. But if you always add it in or pin it as a new note, you'll be able to see the changes in the progress. So that's just one cool little trick there. All right. So to recap, what we did in this video is I showed you how to build an awesome lead generation quiz using Bolt.new, which is a no-code tool. We didn't have to write a single line of code. And then we used Make to connect it to our CRM. So ChatGPT was in the middle. It automatically created our results for us that went back into Bolt and gave us a nifty score that we were able to present to the user. And then at the same time, we also had ChatGPT write us customized, personalized emails that were then loaded into our CRM. And then the users were sent out those CRM emails. And then lastly, they also got a bonus phone call. Now, if you want to know how to be able to set something up in like this in your business, once again, all you got to do is follow the steps in this video. I think I went over a pretty high level of how you can do these things. And once again, I will drop the link in the chat also so you can see exactly the prompts that I use so you can implement the very same setup in your business. Now, if you want some additional help, and you want to know how you can actually implement AI into your business, I encourage you to take our readiness assessment. I literally showed you how we actually built our readiness assessment. So now you can actually go through it for yourself and then book a call with us. And we will go over your results and create a customized game plan specifically for you and your business. I hope to see you in our next YouTube video, and we're going to be showing you something cool just like this one. Peace out.